Official pick time. The research has been done. I gave you my early picks on Sunday. I went through, I watched all the film. I took all the variables into account. And now we got to get into the mindset that the cartel is waterboarding you. They got a gun to your head. And they're telling you, give me every single winner for UFC London. If you tuned in last week to the official pick show, you know I had a pretty solid week for my overall picks. We picked a lot of dogs. A lot of dogs came through. So hopefully we can have some success on UFC London. Just a reminder before I get into the picks. Picks and bets are very different. Just because I pick a fighter to win does not mean I'm going to bet on them. But if I do pick them, maybe I do have a bet on them. So if you want my bets, jump in the Home of Fight Picks Premium membership. Link is down below in the description. I will also have the best bet show for you available tomorrow after I get some more bets locked in. But without any further ado, you know we got to start with the first fight of the night. We scroll all the way to the bottom. We start with Kutateladze and Fernandes. Guram, I think, is always going to be a little bit overhyped because in his UFC debut, he beat Mateusz Gamrot. Very close fight. And then Gamrot goes up to be in the top 10 of the lightweight division, and here's Guram still unranked. And he's taken some losses. But you got to factor in the level of competition. He's fought some really good guys, and he's been competitive, if not won, almost every single fight. Now, Fernandes, on the other hand, very green in the UFC, and I think he will have the chance to hurt Guram, especially early on. But if Guram fights how he normally fights, which is dynamic striking, rip shots to the body, shots upstairs, mix in the grappling, I think he wins this fight. I think he can outlast Fernandes. I think he's probably the fighter with the higher ceiling, and I think he will probably get this one done either by a late finish or by decision. I don't think Fernandes is a guy that you're going to take down and submit on the ground. I don't think you're going to go out there and just knock him out. He's going to give you a fight, and he's going to be dangerous. He's going to be very dangerous early, especially with those kicks to the legs. Might damage up Guram. Kick to the body, kick to the head. His kicks are pretty nasty, but I don't know that he has the takedown defense to pull off a victory on Guram. I don't know that he has one-shot power with his hands to knock out Guram early on. But those kicks are pretty dangerous, so I got to give him the credit there. But either way, Kutateladze is going to be the official pick this week. We can move on to an interesting matchup here. Now, in my early picks video, I was leaning towards Loughran. But after watching the tape, I just can't take him here. I think Nathan Fletcher has a little higher of a ceiling, and I think Nathan Fletcher, who's already beaten this guy in the amateurs, can come in here and pick up another victory. Man, I just cannot look at Loughran, especially if you've seen him lately. He's growing out the lettuce up top. Something about this dude, and I know I'm probably going to get it in the comments saying that I look like Loughran, but I refuse to believe that. He looks like a butch lesbian to me, man. And I think he's probably a solid dude. Seems like a good guy, but I just cannot stand looking at him. All right, and I'm not factoring that into my official pick, but I just had to get it out there, okay? Loughran looks like a butch lesbian. And when he fights, he looks so stiff. So stiff, it's just tough to look at him and be like, yeah, this guy's going to go places, okay? Nathan Fletcher, on the other hand, I think he's a little bit more fluid on the feet. I think his striking is good enough to deal with Loughran's, but he's probably going to want to get the fight to the ground. And I think he'll have some success doing so, but I don't know that he's going to have extended, I don't think he's going to be able to take down Loughran at will. I think he's probably going to have to work for it. He's probably going to have to win some scrambles, get into positions that he likes, get onto the back. He's very good at taking the back. And Loughran, that brick head of his, I don't know that he has a neck that Nathan Fletcher could snatch up, but Fletcher's got multiple submissions under his record, so maybe he could get Loughran out of there. But I do think over the course of 15 minutes, Nathan Fletcher is probably going to win most of those exchanges with the grappling. On the feet, I think he can handle himself. He's got some decent striking, too. I mean, it's obviously not where he wants to be, but I think it's good enough to what Loughran's going to, throw out there. Very stiff. He likes to pump his jab, rip these weird shots to the body, zero head movement. He'll rip a couple leg kicks, but he's just there to be hit. And I think Nathan Fletcher will hit him enough to where he can disguise his takedowns with his striking, and he can look towards getting Loughran to the ground where he wants it to be. So give me Nathan Fletcher for the official pick this week. the Englishman gets it done. And apparently there is a pretty big rivalry between England and Ireland. So I know that now. I'm sure the English crowd is going to be pulling for Nathan Fletcher pretty hard. So give me Nathan Fletcher. Moving on. Shauna Bannon, Pulyaev, Tomar. I got to ditch this in because it might come flying out of my mouth. Or I might just throw up just thinking about this fight. Shauna Bannon was my early lean, but after further review, okay, there's not a world wherever I could put my life on Shauna Bannon. Okay, Shauna Bannon she's incapable of hurting another person. It can't happen, okay? Her striking is so slow. It's so slow. I watched her throw a right cross into a head kick. It looked like it was in slow motion. I had to check my monitor just to see if it was in full speed, and it was. Very slow on the feet, and I think Pulyaev Tomar is going to take advantage of that. She is smaller. She's going to be at a reach disadvantage, but she's gritty, man. She is gritty, and she will whip body kicks in there. She'll whip leg kicks, and her hands are fast. They're not very powerful, and they're a little bit T-Rexy, but they are fast, and she will go for it. If she could keep this fight on the feet, I think Pulyaev Tomar wins. Apparently, there's a ton of Indians in England as well. I expect the home crowd to be on the side of Pulyaev Tomar here. Now, I know Ireland's probably going to have some fans in the crowd, and that's cool. But Pulyaev Tomar, coming off a split decision victory to Rayanne Amanda. Very close fight, very arguable if she won or lost. I do have to believe the judges might be a little bit incentivized to give Pulyaev Tomar a decision victory, considering the UFC wants to build the Indian audience. And also, Rayanne Amanda is way better than Shauna Bannon. Way better. Pulyaev Tomar just went 50-50, toss-up fight, and got her hand raised. I think Pulyaev Tomar can win this fight on the feet by just being more active, being faster, being more gritty, willing to bite down on the mouthpiece and just throw her hands. Shauna Bannon, not exactly. Shauna Bannon might have some success with the grappling, but I don't really see it, man. She hasn't gotten a takedown in the UFC, and I don't know that she even goes for it here with Pulyaev Tomar, who's going to be a little bit smaller, and she's probably going to want to try to outstrike her, put on a show. I just don't see it. Give me Pulyaev Tomar for the official pick this week. India, we up, baby. Give me Pulyaev. It's Pulyaev season. Moving on. Christian Leroy Duncan, Andre Pulyaev. On my early picks video, I was leaning towards Pulyaev, and I still think the betting odds are very, very wide, but I am going to go with CLD as my official pick because I went back and watched the Contender Series fight, and I wasn't high on Pulyaev in that fight, but I do think he showed some improvements. Now, he's still 27, and I think he's still improving, but he's just a little bit too slow and a little bit too frail, and he's not very good in the pocket. And I think if CLD is going to use his normal movement of explosive entries, get into the clinch, use those elbows, mix in some takedowns, I think he'll have some success. And I think Pulyaev will probably be a step behind in a lot of these exchanges. Pulyaev has the ability to just kick from range with his body kick, with his leg kick, nice little left cross down the middle, but it's kind of slow. And I think if he's going to strike with CLD, CLD is probably going to be able to use his speed and his athleticism to make Pulyaev pay. And the other hand of it, which was why I was kind of leaning towards Pulyaev, is he can mix in some grappling, but honestly, I watch his takedowns. I'm like, I don't really see his takedowns working on CLD just because they're kind of slow. He shoots him with his head straight looking down. I just don't know that he's going to have the grappling success that he did against Liam Anderson. And even in that fight, he got put on his back a couple times, and he did not look good. So I got to go with CLD for the official pick. You know, this is why you got to watch the tape and not just go what you look or what you know based off of these fighters. After the tape study, I'm like, yeah, CLD, definitely the rightful favorite. I still think it's a little bit wide, but I think he gets it done. I'll take CLD for the official pick, and we can move on to the ranked heavyweights here. Very interesting one because we know Tybura as the gatekeeper of the heavyweight division. You beat Tybura, it's like, all right, you got something that you could possibly bring to the top 10 of the heavyweight division. But Mick Parkin, honestly, like, I'm not super sold on the guy. Like, I think he's solid skill-wise, but he hasn't faced anybody good in the UFC. Like, his wins are the bottom of the barrel of the heavyweight division. Jamal Pokes, Kyle Machado, he lost a round to Kyle Machado. Muhammad Usman, he lost a round to Muhammad Usman. Yeah, he knocked out Lucas Dresky, but I mean, I kind of just want to see more from Mick Parkin before I take him against a guy like Tybura, because Tybura, he's not really going to go out there and knock you out with one punch, but he is going to be gritty. If you can't kill him in the first round, he's going to be there for the next two, and his grappling is pretty damn good. Like, for a heavyweight grappler, Marcin Tybura is pretty good. Now, I know he got submitted by Sergey Spivak. People are probably going to comment that, but Spivak is the top tier of, like, heavyweight grapplers when it comes to just pure grappling. Tybura, I think if Tybura can have some success on the feet, because Mick Parkin's not really a guy that's going out there looking to put you out in one. He's kind of more patient. And I kind of feel like if you're going to beat Tybura, if you're one of these up-and-coming contenders, I guess you would call Mick Parkin, if you're going to beat Tybura, you kind of got to put him away in round one, because then he's going to use his veteran experience. He's probably going to be able to get you down on the ground at some point in the 15 minutes that you're going to fight, and then he's going to start having success. I think if Tybura gets Mick Parkin down, like, that's a lot of weight. And I don't know that Mick Parkin is a beast off his back. I don't know how his get-ups are. I think he's a solid fighter, but to me, this is a spot where I think I got to pick Marcin Tybura just based on his experience. The unknowns with Mick Parkin. Mick Parkin's level of competition just hasn't been good. He's losing rounds to Muhammad Usman, to Kyle Machado. Like, these are guys that are not UFC level. And I think Tybura has shown he's UFC level. He's still 39. He's getting up there. But coming off a big win, I think if he can stay safe on the feet, be active as well while Mick Parkin's trying to chop his legs, jab him off. Weird way to say that. Jab his face off, I guess. I think he could get some takedowns here, and I think Tybura could take it. So give me Marcin Tybura for the official pick this week. I know there's a lot of hype on Mick Parkin, but honestly, I'm not super sold. But Tybura's the pick. Let's move on. Loughran Kavanagh, Felipe dos Santos. Very interesting one to me, because I think there's a lot of potential for Felipe to pull off the upset, but at the end of the day, I just don't really see it happening. I think Loughran is just a little bit too sharp to lose to a guy like Felipe. Felipe he's gifted athletically, and he's very durable, and he's got a great heart to just keep pushing forward and do anything it takes to try to get himself the dub. But I think the skills are more on the side of Loughran Kavanagh. I think he's going to be ready for the blitzes that Felipe throws on the feet. I think he'll be able to counter them. I think if he wants to, he could probably get some offensive wrestling going up against Felipe, who has shown that's a huge weakness. You know, getting taken down and smothered by Andre Lima. Andre Lima, I know he just got a submission last week, but at the end of the day, he's more of a kickboxing Muay Thai guy. He's improved his wrestling and his ground game, but it shows. Like, if you're a striker, that's not really your main thing is going to the grappling. Like, you can still take down Felipe dos Santos and have top time on him. Victor Altamirano, same way. So I think Loughran has some grappling upside here. I think he's going to be sharper on the feet, very, very fast, one of the fastest guys in the division, and I think he'll be able to counter the strikes from Felipe. So give me Loughran Kavanagh for the official pick. The chin does give you some worries, but I don't know that Felipe just comes in here and knocks him out. You know, I think even if he drops Loughran, I think Loughran will be able to survive and win the rest of the fight. So give me Loughran Kavanagh for the official pick. Let's move on. Jai Herbert, Chris Padilla. Seeing a lot of love for Chris Padilla here. And I get it. Like, I'm not exactly looking to max bet, you know, Jai Herbert in any sort of scenario. And I do think there's a lot of great things you can take from Chris Padilla. But when I look at this matchup, I'm like, does Chris Padilla have a huge grappling advantage? I wouldn't really say so. Like, I watched Jai Herbert's last few fights, he's not really getting taken down. Like, if you shoot on him, he's got really solid sprawls. His hips look good. He digs the underhooks, clinches you up, lands some knees. Like, I don't know that Chris Padilla is just going to be able to get takedowns on him at will and hold him on the ground, put him in bad positions. I don't really see it. Jai Herbert's get-ups are pretty good as well. And then I look at the striking, and I think Jai Herbert's striking is, he's going to be winning until he loses. Like, he's going to be winning the striking exchanges for the most part until Chris Padilla lands something that could put him out. And does Chris Padilla land something that's going to put him out? Possibly. But I'm going to go with Jai Herbert here for the official pick. I just think Chris Padilla is getting a little bit too much love, honestly, for beating Rong Zhu and James Longtop. Like, they're not exactly the greatest fighters. And I'm not saying Jai Herbert's some world beater, but he's a very capable UFC fighter that can go in there and outstrike a lot of guys. And if he can stuff takedowns, I think he wins this fight. We also got to factor in Jai Herbert's won some fights by getting guys to the ground and keeping top control and landing some damage from that aspect too. We haven't really seen Chris Padilla on his back. So interesting stuff there. I think this is a great matchup. I think it is truly kind of a 50-50 one. Just not really sold on Chris Padilla. So I'm going to take Jai Herbert for the official pick this week. I think he gets it done probably by decision. At the end of the day, we are talking about Jai Herbert, not exactly the biggest finisher out there, and we are in England. Got to factor that in. Chris Padilla never fought overseas. Got to factor that in. Very different thing for Chris Padilla, not at the Apex. He's going all the way over to England. I'll take Jai Herbert in this one. Let's move on. Nathaniel Wood, Morgan Charriere. Another great matchup. I think there's a lot of great matchups on this card. Nathaniel Wood, very clean on the feet. Very clean. Leg kicks, jabs, 1-2s. Nice little left hook, too, when he's coming out of his right hand. Really sharp. The problem is, I think he's a little bit small for the featherweight division. And I think Morgan Charriere is kind of a brute at 145. Like, he is kind of a tank, and he will use his frame to just kind of wear on you. And it didn't work against Chepe because Chepe is kind of the same way, and Chepe has an endless gas tank, and he's just an absolute dog. It was a very close fight that Charriere arguably could have won. And I think in this one, Morgan is just kind of use that frame, just blow through all the technical striking that Nathaniel's trying to do, try to wear on Nathaniel early on in this fight. And I think if there's a finish in this one, it's coming from Morgan Charriere. I don't know that Nathaniel Wood is going to be able to submit Charriere. I don't think he's going to be able to knock out Charriere. And I think there is a possibility, just based on Nathaniel Wood's career, he's getting hurt in a lot of these fights. And I think Charriere might be the guy to finally put him away. Now, Nathaniel's actually shown a lot of solid grappling exchanges, really solid offensive wrestling, but he can be taken down. And I think Charriere has really improved the wrestling portion of his game just because he is so damn strong in there. So I think it's a really solid matchup. I think Morgan Charriere has more finishing upside in this one. I think he's got 15 minutes of cardio. I think he'll be landing the better shots. If he just allows Nathaniel Wood to pick him apart, like if he's not really trying to force the issue, then Nathaniel Wood can win. I look at this one, I think, it's either Nathaniel Wood by close decision, or it's Morgan Charriere knocking him out, or just brutalizing him for 3 rounds. So I'm going to side with Morgan Charriere. I think there's just a little bit more upside for him in this matchup. Not to say that Nathaniel Wood can't win, but I think Morgan wins this one. So I'll take Morgan Charriere for the official pick. Let's move on. Jordan Vucenic and Chris Duncan. Another one. If you watch the early picks video, I was leaning towards Chris Duncan, but after further ado, man, I'm going to go with Jordan Vucenic just because Chris Duncan, to me, he just doesn't have as much potential as Jordan Vucenic does. I think Jordan's skill set overall is better than Chris Duncan's right now, and I just think Jordan's a lot more fluid. He flows with the fight a little bit more. Chris Duncan, if things start going bad, kind of spazzes out, and sometimes it works. Sometimes it works. He's able to land that shot on Charlie Campbell. He's able to pull off the guillotine against Blachowicz. But I just don't think it's going to work against Jordan Vucenic. I think Vucenic is sharp on the feet. I think Duncan's a little bit stiff. He's there to be hit. And he's able to battle through it sometimes, but it kind of, if he gets hurt, then he just spazzes out. And I think if you spaz out against Vucenic, he's going to make you pay for it. I think he's probably going to finish him. So I think Vucenic wins this one. I could see Vucenic finishing him within the first 2 rounds. But, if it does extend, then I think that means Chris Duncan is having some type of success in this one, and it's probably going to go to a competitive decision. So overall, I think Vucenic is the A side in this one. That's why he's the favorite. That's why he's fighting in England. And I think he wins this one early on. If I had to make a prediction, I think he makes Chris Duncan spaz out with some type of thing and finishes him in the first 2 rounds. So I'll take Jordan Vucenic for the official pick. I think he gets it done. A lot of potential with this guy. Chris Duncan, proven guy at the UFC level. He can get wins. But I think Vucenic has a much higher ceiling than Chris Duncan. So give me Vuc. Molly McCann, Alexa Thainara. Not going to switch my pick on this one. I think Thainara is a terrible matchup for Molly McCann. I think of who can Molly McCann beat? Well, it's probably another striker that is not super big. Maybe not the best. Maybe not the best striker either. Like you look at who she beaten at 115. It's Diana Belbita. Yeah, she should probably beat Diana Belbita because Diana Belbita can't hurt you with anything on the feet. She's pretty much just a volume striker with no ground game. And Molly McCann exposed that. She was just walking into the pocket, throwing heavy hands because nothing that Belbita is going to throw at her hurts her. And she eventually just picked her up, put her down to the ground, and submitted her with an armbar because Belbita has no grappling. Thainara, on the other hand, she's a little bit of a wild striker, so maybe Molly McCann can hit her with something that hurts her, but I think she's durable. I think she's just a brute at 115. If she wants to take you down, she can take you down, and she has a submission game on the ground. So I think it's a terrible matchup for Molly McCann. Can Molly McCann pull some shit out of her ass, some type of spinning back elbow, and put away Thainara? Maybe. But I do think if this fight goes to a decision, Thainara is probably getting those takedowns and just wearing on Molly McCann and winning the fight. But in all reality, I think Thainara might even just finish her on the ground. I think Thainara is just a beast of an like. Just think about athletes. Come on. Molly McCann ain't the biggest athlete. She's a little bit older. I think if Thainara gets on top, I think she finishes her. So give me Alexa Thainara for the official pick this week. The UFC debuter. I get it, but I think she's better than Molly. Give me Thainara. Moving on. Gunnar Nelson, Kevin Holland. Now this one, I might lose you with this one, but I think it's the right pick, okay? Gunnar Nelson is not active. He's not a good striker. He's not active. He's not a good striker. He's 36. And he's going up against Kevin Holland, who pretty much only loses to the best of the best at 170. Now, was Gunnar Nelson still the best of the best? Maybe. But, he was at one point. He was a top 15 fighter. But is he still? I don't know. Kevin Holland at 170's only losses are to Wonderboy, Jack Della Maddalena, and MVP. Those are all 3 elite strikers that he didn't use his ground game to try to win the fight. So I think of guys that he's beaten at 170. Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa wants to take him down. He couldn't, and he submitted him. Tim Means took him down a couple times, which is just terrible. But he did beat him. Alex Oliveira beat him. Ponzinibbio knocked him out. I look at Gunnar Nelson's, how he tries to get the fight to the ground. It's honestly very weird. He has that karate stance, and then he kind of like creeps forward, and then he'll kind of wait for you to throw something, and then he'll try to like grab you and like clinch you up. He's not really shooting doubles, not really picking singles. It's more so of like a clinch, push you up against the cage, and then work for the takedown. And I think that's just too many steps. It's just too many steps to where Kevin Holland, being how big he is at 170, 6'3", I think he's got like a 7 or 8 inch reach advantage. It's just too many steps to where Kevin Holland can defend the takedown. So I think that it's going to be tough for Gunnar Nelson to get Kevin Holland to the ground, which is crazy to say because he's got like a 50% takedown defense. But I got to go with Kevin Holland here. I think at 170, that's his weight class. He should be at 170. And I know when he's fighting at welterweight, he has to take the fight kind of serious because he's got a diet. So I like that. I think it's a buy low spot on Kevin Holland. I think he picks up a victory here. I could see him knocking out Gunnar early on as well. But, even if he doesn't, does Gunnar Nelson get him down later on in the fight? Maybe, but I don't know. I think Kevin Holland wins this one. I'm going to take him for the official pick. Probably going to hate that, but I think it's the right play. Give me Kevin Holland. Jan Blachowicz, Carlos Ulberg. I've seen a lot of love for Jan this week as well, but honestly, I just can't do it, man. Like, I think Carlos is a legit striker that does have like one-shot knockout power. And I know Jan has been very durable, but I just think Carlos's movement is going to make it very tough for Jan to land anything on the feet, considering he's 42 years of age. And I think it's going to be tough for Jan to get takedowns. Like, he's going to have to come out like a bat out of hell and shoot right away. Because if you allow Carlos to get in that flow of just being effective off the back foot, jab, circle out, leg kick, 1-2 down the middle, like, he's going to just start to pull away with this, in my opinion. So the first round is going to tell you a lot on where Jan Blachowicz is at. Is he up to speed with Carlos Ulberg? If he's not, then I think it's just going to get worse as the fight goes on for however long it lasts. But I believe Jan at 42, I just don't believe in him. I just don't. Coming off many, many surgeries. I know he went to a very competitive draw with Magomed. I get it. He went to a competitive fight with Alex Pereira. I get it. But I think it's time. I think Carlos Ulberg wins this one. I could see a knockout. It's not like Jan Blachowicz hasn't been knocked out before. I just think Carlos Ulberg has all the momentum in the world right now. And I think he has a fight style to beat Jan Blachowicz. So give me Carlos Ulberg for the official pick this week. I think he gets it done. To the main event. Leon Edwards, Sean Brady. I really want to give Leon like the benefit of the doubt here just because he is the underdog. But, I'll just look at the matchup. And I understand all the arguments for Leon, but I just look at the matchup and I think Sean Brady beats him here. I really think Sean, his grappling and his wrestling is really, really good. I watch it on tape and I'm seeing him get takedowns from many different positions, whether he's blast doubling, whether he's pushing and grabbing a leg, whether he's catching a kick and taking you down, whether he's running a single, whether he's picking you up on the single and slamming you down. Many, many ways for Sean Brady to get his takedowns, and I think that's probably going to be the difference here. I think Leon has mastered the double leg takedown up against the cage, but Sean Brady has many ways. I mean, he's kicking dudes' feet from out from under him, getting the takedowns that way. And when he's on the ground, his jiu-jitsu is very, very good. Like, very good, much better than Bilal Muhammad's. And Bilal Muhammad was able to take Leon's back many times. I think it just really comes down to, can Sean Brady put the pressure on early and keep that pressure? And I think he does. Because Leon's a great striker, and he's really improved his grappling. He's even getting takedowns on like Colby, and he took down Bilal a couple of times, had his back in one round. But on the feet, I think he's just going to need to have more activity. He's just never shown that. Just never shown more activity. If he was more active on the feet, I would give him more of a benefit of the doubt. But even in the Kamaru Usman fight, like, I get it's Kamaru Usman, but honestly, I bet on Leon Edwards in the second title fight between Leon and Kamaru because I thought Kamaru was just kind of washed at that point. Like, I know he just got knocked out. People would be like, yeah, he wasn't washed, but he was aging. He had all these injuries. His knees they're not there. So I bet on Leon in that spot. But I was also like, Leon, you could be pulling away more. You could be pulling away from Kamaru in this spot. You've shown you can stuff the takedown. But on the feet, he's just not throwing anything. Like it's all these one shots. It's like one body kick, one knee up the middle, one left hand. He doesn't put anything together. And if you're just going to continue to have this low volume kickboxing fight style, then these grapplers like a Bilal Muhammad can just overwhelm you with volume and boom, then they're shooting a takedown. And I think Sean Brady just does that. Like, he's a very similar fighter to Bilal, but I think his jiu-jitsu is better. Maybe his boxing isn't as good as Bilal because Bilal's got the Canelo type of boxing, but I think he's very similar to Bilal, and I think he could do similar things to Leon. Maybe the 5 a.m. thing messed up Leon, maybe. I mean, they said he had injuries and stuff, whatever. And I know it's short notice for Sean Brady, but I think it's a decent matchup for Sean to get a big win here against the number one contender. So I'll take Sean Brady for the official pick this week. That'll do it for the video. I appreciate you for watching. Like the video for me. Subscribe to the channel. Best Bet show coming out tomorrow, Friday. We got the Long Shots Only live show with Matty Betts. Looking to go back-to-back on the cycles for my guy Matty Betts. Appreciate you for watching. Until next time, hey, Jab Picks.